Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I am your host, Josh Abrams, and on today's show we're going to talk about the 76ers and the Flyers. The Sixers are playing very good basketball right now, 6-1 since the Super Bowl, and the Flyers are playing well right now. They're dealing with some injuries, which includes Brian Elliott, but we're going to get into all of that after this intro.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
And welcome back from that intro. As usual, I have a great panel with me today. I have to my left, Selena BMAC, to her left, Kevin Cook, and as usual, the farthest away from me, let's keep it that way, Dave Roberts. So let's get right into it, guys. The Philadelphia 76ers are playing such amazing basketball right now. We talked about on the last show how Philly sports teams, the active Philly sports teams, are playing so well since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. But let's look at some stats here. The Sixers are scoring much more than they did last year, obviously, now that they have a fully developed team. Let's get into it. What have you guys taken away from these last 7 games?
I think that this, especially like the last 5 wins, has proven that there's been a lot of depth and growth on this team. I think we're seeing a different team, not just from last year, but also from the beginning of the season. There's been a real momentum shift,
right.
And you can see that as like winning games late versus only playing in the first half and then just blowing it in the second half.
Yeah, and like Selena was saying, I mean, when this team, as we saw last night against the Heat, when this team's down, the game's no longer over. They're gonna battle back. What we want to see more of, and what they struggled with in the beginning of the year, but they started to pick up on recently, was the fact that when they're up a lot, now they're holding that lead. They might blow it for a little bit, and it might go down to single digits at a point, but they still get the win in the long run, and that's the important thing. And in general, I mean, this team's been playing off the rails lately. I mean, we've been talking about, like, first off, since the Super Bowl, they've been playing unreal. I believe they're 5-0. And in the second half of the season, since Christmas, actually, they're second in the whole NBA in defensive rating. Second only, like, I think it's the Warriors. Yeah. Third in three-point percentage, which is huge. And getting Marco Bellinelli, great pickup by Colangelo, that only helps that. And on top of that, they're 5th in field goal percentage and 5th in assists. That shows the team basketball that they're playing. It's phenomenal, and it's fun to watch.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it's just after that Super Bowl win, I mean, I think all the city of Philadelphia was just excited to see more wins. And it's really nice to actually see the Sixers be able to do that for us. I mean, imagine if we won the Super Bowl and then the Sixers just started losing. It would be a weird type of mindset for us.
Sure.
Like, we're just, like, after the Super Bowl, we're just used to winning now, and like that's all we want to see. And since it's happening, it's like, all right, let's just keep doing it. So I hope this whole momentum keeps driving to like to late March and like in April for when the playoffs come.
Yeah, and Kevin, you mentioned it a little bit earlier about Marco Bellinelli. There were a lot of acquisitions that we got before the season started, and now midway through the season, we pick up a three-point shooter, not necessarily the scoring guard that maybe a typical fan would be looking for, but this guy can flat out shoot the ball.
Yeah, I think in the last game against Miami, he scored 17 points, I think, in like 28 minutes. I think we have the stat up there just now. And not only that, like the scoring capabilities he has, he's come in with the right attitude, even though he's a new acquisition. He trusts the process.
Yes.
So I think that's important.
His Twitter has been unreal. When he came in here, he tweeted out the picture with Rocky with his face on it. Phenomenal picture, great. He really does understand what this team is about, and a lot of that stems back to him coming from the Spurs and knowing Brett Brown out in San Antonio. But this guy, I mean, unbelievable pickup by Colangelo. Kudos to him. I mean, didn't have to give up anything to get a guy who is exactly what you need. A three-point shooter, can spread the floor. He's not necessarily a ball handler in that sense of the way.
Yeah.
But with that being said, he's going to spread the floor, and he's going to get open shots because there's a big guy in the middle that apparently is pretty good. And on top of that, another thing that we've struggled with in the past, but we've actually picked up on lately, is free throws. And Marco Bellinelli is 3rd in this league. Number 1, J.J. Redick. So there's only one other person in between the two of them. and I'm kind of blanking on who it is right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that just shows you these are the things that good teams do well at, and that's shooting free throws. And when you make your free throws, most likely you win the game. And he does that well, so I'm excited to see how he fits in.
Yeah, I think in my head, he's like a late game weapon. I play a lot of 2K, so I know that in late games, if you have an open three, I mean, you kick it out to him, he's gonna make the three ball. But I mean, it's gonna be really cool to see. I mean, we talk about the center being really good. It's gonna be all the attention on him, and then it's a smooth kick out to either Bellinelli, JJ Redick, and if Covington can get it together, then it's gonna be really cool to see.
And another thing about number 21 in the middle there, we didn't have him last night against the Heat. And the Sixers team is really starting to play team basketball now. And one thing that I really loved about seeing last night is we out-rebounded Miami, who has one of the best centers in the league, Whiteside. We out-rebounded them 60-29. That is just monstrous on the boards. Trevor Booker, there was a number of possessions where he just got multiple ones, and he was able to I mean, we were just animals on the boards last night. And that's great to see, especially when your best player goes down. It's good to know that that locker room doesn't, like, there's no difference in their mind that they think that they can win even without him.
Yeah, and that whole next man up mentality really it resonated from sport to sport. Let's talk about the All-Star, maybe not necessarily the All-Star weekend, because we're not going to see the Sixers play for a couple days. They get a well-deserved break this weekend, except for, well, actually, should I say, one of them who's going to take a break, especially in the All-Star game, is Ben Simmons. Do we think he got snubbed? I certainly think he did with that stat line up there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think potential Rookie of the Year and snubbed from the All-Star game. I think it's a shame, but I think he'll get some well-deserved rest. It's a crucial break. They really need some rest, this team. And it's not going to be nice to see him out there, but I think it'll still be a fun All-Star game.
Lane Johnson said it the best, hungry dogs run faster. So, I mean, him getting snubbed, I think, is actually a blessing, because I think now he might actually just go out there and show people, like, I am an all-star, and maybe even next year, if it pushes into next year, like, I will show you that, like, you can't, like, deny that I am an all-star. So I'm sad he got snubbed, but, like, I'm also a little bit happy because maybe it'll just open up, like, a little peek in his potential.
And, this happened a couple years ago with Joel Embiid, too, so we can see exponential growth from here on out. Sorry, Kevin.
No, yeah. I want to sound off about this because this is a disgrace. I think he got snubbed because of the fact that he's a rookie.
Tell him how you really feel, Kevin.
I will. You know what? Al Horford made it. You know why he made it? Because he plays for the Celtics. I understand. They're the 2 seed now, so they're not even the 1 seed anymore. But his stat line, can we get Simmons back up there, please? His stat line's 13.3 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Look at Ben's. Beats him in everything. Dragic, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Simmons, more points accounted for per game than Goran Dragic, who replaced Kevin Love in the All-Star game. Kemba Walker just replaced, I'm blanking on it,
Porzingis?
Thank you.
Right?
He just replaced him. 18 points, 5 assists, only 3 rebounds. Again, Ben Simmons accounts for more points for a team that is in the playoff race and a team that has come so far in the past year. I honestly believe that it's because he's a rookie and they want him to have him in the Rising Stars game, but that is a disgrace. He deserves to be in the All-Star game. They can't keep doing this to rookies just because they need to have an attractive piece in the Rising Stars game. I
think you might have taken your little rant there off of Kyle Brandt's weekly rant for the Eagles, but I do agree. Simmons definitely has shown that he's still a rookie. People like to think he's not a rookie, but he didn't even play in a game last season. So how could you even think that? But one of the only Sixer who will be playing in the All-Star game this weekend is, of course, Joel Embiid. We know he's been dealing with injuries basically his entire basketball career, but he's been playing. He has essentially been the star for the Sixers. And let's get into it about him a little bit. What are we feeling?
I mean, an NBA All-Star, Joel Embiid. That's it. And I know. The injuries always come back to him, and he needs to stay healthy. And they don't want to limit his playing time, but it's going to happen. And It's just it's kind of like a cycle with Joel Embiid. But if this guy can stay healthy, he can be the best.
I mean, I just want to say, Joel Embiid, high five. We did it. But it's not over for him. This is just the beginning of what hopefully we can see like some greatness as it comes along in the next coming years. But I mean, yeah, he's had a very, very, very good season, and honestly, you can say he's arguably one of the best centers in the league right now. And it's just, I'm just happy for him. So
I mean, I would put him as arguably the best center in the league right now. DeMarcus Cousins went down with an injury. We're not going to see him again. I don't mean to skip you, Kevin, on Joel Embiid, but let's go to the fact that the Sixers, the triple doubles, 2 straight games now we've seen triple doubles from 2 different players. Obviously, as you see on the screen, T.J. McConnell notched his first career triple double. Just an absolute, just a stalwart in all aspects of the game.
Yeah, TJ, everybody on this knows that I love him. I went crazy when he got that last rebound, so I'm really happy for him, something he really worked hard for. For Ben Simmons, again, it just shows that he should have been in the All-Star game. I don't want to harp on it too much, but he's been phenomenal. He's the first rookie. Shout out LaSalle, Tom Gola. He just surpassed him in rookie triple doubles, picking up his 6th last night, whereas Gola only has 5. The only other rookies to have more is Magic Johnson with 7 and Oscar Robinson with something like 26.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure their rookie years they were in the NBA All-Star game, but it's okay that Ben wasn't.
You know, we said that this is the All-Star weekend, and we're not going to see the Sixers play for a little bit. But when they come back, they do have a tough slate of games to handle. Let's get the graphic up for their schedule. They're going to have some tough road games this year. They're definitely battle tested. So before we go to commercial, let's talk about the upcoming games and this last, the stretch towards the playoffs.
I think they do have a lot of upcoming games, but don't count them out. This is the different team than what we've seen before. And even they're, like you said, they're winning without Embiid. And you used to think like this team is centered around this guy only. Yeah. But the depth that they've demonstrated around him, I think don't count the Sixers out.
Yeah, I think, I'm a man of standings. I've been looking at standings each week just to see where we're at. Yeah. And it's always 7th and 8th. And in my head, I feel like, we could sneak in, maybe get the 6th seed, but I know we're either 6th, 7th, and 8th. And the only thing I'm really worried about is Detroit and like them sneaking up and getting 8th somehow. So I know it's gonna be a long road ahead and it's gonna be hard work, but hungry dogs run faster. That's all I have to say, because that's just a motto I think for like Philly sports right now.
Yeah, definitely. As I always say, that mentality resonates from complex to each arena. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some Flyers.
What's up? Eddie Dunn here, host of LaSalle's favorite TV game show, Q&A. I'm here to tell you to keep watching LaSalle TV. It's on 24 hours a day, every day. You know what else is on 24 hours a day, every day? Nothing. Well, maybe some things, but nothing that's as important as LaSalle TV. So keep watching, or else.
Welcome back from the commercial break. We have a new panelist on desk right now as Nick Kerr on the very far end comes on to talk some Flyers. So let's get right into it, guys. The Flyers, just like the Sixers, are playing very well right now. They did lose the other night in, I think it was a shootout, or was it?
In a shootout.
Yeah, in a shootout. Shootout, the usual woes for the Flyers. But they have been playing very good hockey. So let's talk about them. How do we feel about them?
They did lose in a shootout, and back again with that 1 point. At least we got 1 point. But something notable about the Flyers is the other day they beat the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas.
Yep.
And that's really notable.
I think they've only lost 5 games in Vegas.
4, and the Flyers was the 4th one. And they're incredible at home, and the Flyers were able to beat that team. And obviously Vegas is a new team. But I think
they're not going to have the most amount of fans. I believe a lot of the crowd was orange.
Yeah, they've been incredible at home. There's the difference. And Travis Konechny has been unstoppable ever since he's been put on the first line. I think the stats are 20 points in 22 games since joining the first line.
Wow.
Pretty good, yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm really excited about this team right now. UNO, like how Selena said, they beat Vegas, one of the top 2 teams in all of the league. They are really good at home, and it's hard to play there. And they've also had some very key wins, like going back before the Super Bowl against Washington and other division opponents.
Yeah. You look at the standings right now. We have, with those little winning streaks that we've had, we've started to move up a little bit. We've snuck into the 3rd place slot for the Metropolitan Division, as you see on the screen there. We are behind a lot of very impressive teams in the Eastern Conference, especially that top 4, that top tier.
Boston.
We are essentially a game behind Pittsburgh. But talk about what you guys think. What are we going to have to do in order to really try and get up towards that top?
I mean, even given the seeding, there are some tough teams, especially within the division. But I think the Flyers can make have a lot of good opportunities for some division wins. And I just saw NHL.com actually rank them number 12 in the conference, or not in the conference, in the whole league. Sorry, which is actually pretty good considering.
Yeah, Josh. As far as what they're going to need to do to make the playoffs, I guess is. They need to continue to play at what they're doing right now. I mean, I know that they got the loss the other day, but with that being said, before that they were on fire. And even going into the shootouts, the last couple times they made it to the shootout, they performed really well in them. The goalies did. I think that offensively during the shootouts, we need to have our shooters need to start putting the puck in the back of the net, because even I'm blanking on who we played, but it went 7 shooters deep.
Oh, the Coyotes, that shootout against the Coyotes.
We need to start making some of these shots.
Also, the order of the shootout could use some change.
A little bit. I mean, Konechny's been great, but I think he's 0 for 5 in NHL shootouts now. Maybe give him a little bit of a break. Let him get his bearings. Let him have a little bit more success on the ice, and then maybe throw him back out there in the shootout and see if he picks his confidence up then.
Of course, the big thing is they have to keep winning games. And also another thing that would help them if teams in the Metropolitan lose, because they need to pick up those points that they are behind. I think they have 66 points overall right now. Washington has 71. So they really need to step it up.
All of those games that went to overtime and shootouts, if they had actually won those games, they would have picked up that extra 1 point instead of just,
Yeah, and the way the standings are right now, we're at that point where if we win some of those overtime games, we could be a top tier team in the league. Last year and in the past recent years, if we had won our overtime games, we would have been either just making the playoffs, maybe sneaking in at an 8 or 7 seed. But overall, good play by the Flyers, at least in these last couple of weeks. However, just like the most detrimental injury to football is the quarterback, the most detrimental injury that we can deal with right now is our goaltending, and essentially that did happen. Brian Elliott, considered the #1 goaltender for the Flyers, will be out for the next 5 to 6 weeks. He had a core muscle injury. That's about as specific as the NHL will get with their injuries. But let's talk about the effect of his injury and how the Flyers are going to have to respond in terms of goaltending.
Brian Elliott, veteran presence on this team, obviously their #1 goalie, almost out for 2 months. That's really going to affect their team. I know they have Michael Neuwirth, another veteran presence, but he has really struggled throughout this season, and I don't know how that's going to fare over well. The trade deadline is coming up on February 26th, so maybe Ron Hextall can make some moves and bring a new goalie into the mix to replace Elliott for the time being.
Like Selena was saying, I think Neuwirth has struggled a little bit over time, but part of that issue is because he struggles to stay healthy, and that's when it gets really scary, because the guy that's behind him is not ready for NHL action yet. And as long as he can stay in net, I like our chances. I'm hoping that the defense and the forwards for us start to pick up that backup goalie mentality, and they really start to play well offensively. But with that being said, you need for Neuwirth to stay healthy in order to continue at the pace that you are and to stay afloat for the next 5 to 6 weeks.
Right.
I think that what they both said, Neuwirth has to stay healthy, and I would like to see maybe a trade for a backup goalie just in case he does get hurt, because I really don't like the third goalie that we have. He's not ready yet.
Personally, I do think that if Neuwirth stays healthy, I think that we can make a push even with him in there and not Elliott. Nick, I know we were talking about this before. What do you think? Do you think that he can survive, that the Flyers can survive with Neuwirth, just Neuwirth?
Not really, because he doesn't have that many games played with them out on the ice. Like, Elliott has the most games played so far this season, so not really.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's definitely a very troubling injury, just considering how pretty well Brian Elliott was playing. And if for our viewers out there, if you watched our past shows, you know that I am a stickler for sticking with one goalie. And yes, yeah, exactly. Stick with the hot hand. I think essentially that's the reason why Pittsburgh was so good last year, because Matt Murray was such an amazing goaltender, specifically at the end of the season.
I mean, yeah, talking about Pittsburgh, and then they ended up losing Fleury, but that's beside the point. But so Michael Neuwirth, though, even with the injuries, I just still think there are a lot of issues there. I think he has given up at least 4 goals in his last 5 starts, which is a lot. 4 goals is, I mean, when the Flyers don't have the same scoring offense that they used to, 4 goals is really not acceptable for a starting goalie. But like I said before, hopefully the trade deadline, and like Nick was saying, there can be some action there. Yeah.
So let's talk about the key players on this team. We always think about Claude Giroux. We think about Jake Voracek. Those two are among the league leaders in points total. But Wayne Simmonds, he's been pretty much a low-key mainstay for the Flyers. He's been on the team for a while, and he leads the team in power play goals per game. And then he also has 1 shorthanded goal on the season. So he has really come through this season as he usually does.
Yeah, Wayne Simmonds, another veteran presence on this team. I really like this guy. He's a great scorer and he's a great team player, but he does have a lot of trade value. I don't mean to keep coming back to the trade deadline, but it's coming up. And he does have a lot of trade value, so that is something to watch for there.
Well, I hope he doesn't get traded, because I enjoy watching him play. He gets in there and he does the dirty stuff. He goes in front of the net, and that's why he's got a lot of power play goals. He gets what needs to get done, and the fans love it. I love it, and I'd like to see him stay here and continue to do that for us.
I also hope that he stays here. I hope that he does not get traded, because in those time crunching situations late in the game when we're man up, they're gonna look to give the puck to him to score. So
yeah, you think about the different type of we call it dirty players that we've had in the past, like Zach Ronaldo and even maybe Radko Gudas this season, who's been playing well. But Wayne Simmonds has always been the guy to get in there, go down to the nitty gritty, but also provide a very big hand offensively. Real quick before we move on, Flyers playoff hopes. They're in 6th place right now. Do you think we can maintain a top 3 spot in the division?
I think no. I think they'll get a wild card spot.
Okay.
I think same thing. They're gonna slide out and get a wild card though.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next segment on the show, Fast 5. And Selena, I'm going to come right to you. We didn't talk about much of the Eagles on the show today, but I do have an Eagles question for you. And Ndamukong Suh, the defensive tackle for the Dolphins, said that he would like to play for the Dolphins for free. Any thoughts on that? Do you like?
Wait, he would like to play for the Dolphins?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant he'd like to play for the Eagles for free. What are your thoughts on him, and would you even consider maybe taking him on the team?
I think in Ndamukong Suh, I think there's a lot of issues there. He's not the same player he was in Detroit, and then he went to Miami, he got a big deal, and then it just didn't pan out well. I don't think he has the same character issues that they called it. He doesn't have the same baggage. He's matured a lot more than before, but I don't think he's a good fit for the Eagles. And first of all, I don't think it's possible for him to play for free. I think he would come at a high price for the Eagles, and I just don't think it's worth it. They don't have the cap space for that right now. They need to sign Nigel Bradham.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, we're going to come to you. The Winter Olympics are in full swing right now on NBC. What's your favorite sport to watch?
I know people are looking at me. Tyler's in the back, wanting me to say the biathlon. Selena's over here, wanting me to say curling.
Love curling.
So, kind of in a tough spot here. So I'll just say they're tied for my favorite.
All right, fair enough. There's, Winter Olympics, some great sports
There's
to
a
watch.
lot of aggression in curling that you don't expect.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Nick, we're going to come to you. We've talked about the NHL trade deadline a couple times in the show. That's on February 26th at 3 p.m. Are there any specific moves, any players you think the Flyers should try to get?
Not really, not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, so you're going with just a clean trade deadline.
Yep.
We'll stick with the team we have now. Kevin, we're going to come to you. We haven't talked about the Phillies too much, but we obviously did get a new manager in Gabe Kapler. Any first impressions of him so far?
Actually, I think they reported yesterday. But yeah, I like the hiring of him. He's a straightforward guy. And I mean, so far from what we've heard, like he sounds like he can outlift most of the team. So I think I think that's actually a good thing. That might motivate some of the players at the gym a little bit more. So maybe we're going to see a little bit more home runs. But from everything I've seen from him so far, I enjoy it, and I think that it's going to be a good hiring for him.
And Selena, last question comes to you. Another Eagles question. We sent Frank Reich over to Indianapolis to become their head coach. What do you think we're going to have to do to replace him?
I think they're going to stay internal. Obviously, we'd have liked to see John DeFilippo stay with the organization. He made moves a little too early before Frank Reich left, but I think Deuce Staley could be a really good fit for the Eagles. He's been with this organization for so long.
Right.
He's family. So I think Deuce would be a great fit for offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, that was a great Fast Five, great Sixers talk, great Flyers talk. Another great episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Thank you to my panel and Dave Roberts for coming on to the show. You can catch us on social media on YouTube, Twitter, Gmail, Facebook, and even lasalle.edu/LaSalle TV. We're going to come back next week and enjoy the rest of your weekend.